Hey y'all, welcome back. This is the new vocabulary section of today's lesson. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first word is the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is an amendment to the Constitution that abolished slavery in the U.S. Before we move on to the next words, so we had the Bill of Rights. We learned about this a long time ago. Give me 1 second. This was the Bill of Rights. Now, the Bill of Rights had the first 10 amendments. An amendment, if you remember, amendment is a new rule to live by. So the government comes up with rules or laws, a new law to live by. So the first 10 Bill of Rights are rules or laws that American citizens live by. And the First Amendment is the right to free speech. It's a rule that you live by to be able to speak whatever it is that's on your mind without fear of being arrested. So we have the first 10 in the Bill of Rights. We have the 11th and 12th Amendment before and during the Civil War. And now we're going to talk about the next three, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So the 13th freed all the slaves. So if you look at this picture here, it's a picture of arms up in the air, breaking apart from the chains that were binding them. This image is trying to describe the elimination of slavery all across the United States. This is not to be confused with the Emancipation Proclamation, which only freed slaves in the Confederacy during the Civil War. The 13th Amendment is what officially freed all the slaves. All right, let's move on to the next word. Boom. So the next one is the 14th Amendment, the amendment to the Constitution that granted citizenship to former slaves, gave them protection under law, and guaranteed them civil rights from the Bill of Rights. All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. First, this amendment, it defined citizenship. So it defined what it means to be an American citizen. Citizen. American. So to be an American citizen under this new amendment, you had to be born in the U.S. So according to this amendment, if you were born in the United States, you are automatically an American citizen. No papers required, no process, no applying, no nothing. You are just an American. So this 14th Amendment had made that rule extremely clear, because before, people didn't really know, what does it mean to be an American? How do I know if I'm an American? What makes me a citizen? How do I get the things that the government says they're going to give us if I'm a citizen? So it said all people born in the U.S. are an American citizen, and if you are an American citizen, then you are protected by the Bill of Rights. And if you remember, the Bill of Rights is that drawing I did for the last word. Bill of Rights. It had the first 10 rules of what people can do and what the government can't do. So again, freedom of speech is part of your Bill of Rights. So what this amendment is saying is, if you're born in the U.S., you're an American. Okay, they said if you're born in the U.S., then you're an American citizen. If you're an American citizen, you're protected by the Bill of Rights. If you're protected by the Bill of Rights, you have all of these rights here, and the government can't say anything about it. Okay? So it's a process of introducing people who are not considered to be even people, much less American, into the government's protection. Okay. And if you guys have questions still about any of the words, you can reach out tomorrow during office hours, or email me today or tomorrow whenever you get to the assignment. All right, last word. 15th Amendment. So this amendment was an amendment to the Constitution that gave all male citizens the right to vote. So before, this is the key word, before the 15th Amendment, 15th Amendment, only white men, usually landowners, so rich white men, could vote. That means that only rich white men could vote, and the problem with that is that they're going to vote for someone who protects them. So if there's a president or someone running for president who is just an evil, awful person, but they protect the lives of rich white men, then the rich white men who are able to vote are going to vote for that person to come into power, regardless of how bad that person is going to treat other people who are not rich, who are not white, who are not men. So this amendment was created to try and make even the rights of white men and black men. So this amendment was developed to give black men the ability to vote, to kind of counterbalance the power that white men had in the country for so long and still kind of do. So before the 15th Amendment, only white men could vote. And then after the 15th Amendment, African American, this is the key point here, men can vote. Women won't be able to vote till the 1920s, and we're still on the 1870s, 1860s right now. So it's going to be around 50 years before women, white or black, can vote at all. So this is all about men up until then. So these were the first 3 words for today's lesson. Go ahead and make sure that you are able to answer correctly the vocabulary question, because I've given you guys all the answers right here. Once you've done that, you guys can go ahead and move on to the next section of today's work. I will catch you in the guided practice.